We're talking trade rumors on this edition of Titans Today. We've got Myles Garrett, Kupp, and Chidobe Awuzie. We'll break those down here, but first, how many trades do you think the Titans will end up making this offseason? They were fairly trade-happy last year, but it is a new regime in charge. Get those predictions in for me in the comments of today's show. We begin with one of the two big NFL news items over the past 48-ish, I guess really almost 24 hours, frankly. First up is Myles Garrett. He has requested a trade from the Cleveland Browns, citing a desire to win. Now, despite the fact Tennessee has the number one overall pick and may not be viewed as the same level of contender as others, they are already getting linked to a potential Myles Garrett trade by some outlets. But I want to break down how likely it is and, frankly, if it's a smart idea for the Tennessee Titans to pursue, given where they're at currently as an organization. Now, first up, I believe in being in the talent acquisition business. And there's no doubt Myles Garrett is an elite level talent. There are very few who are better at what he does in terms of rushing the passer and stopping the run as an edge rusher in the NFL. He has put up at least 14 sacks in 3 straight seasons. He is on the pace, and I think will be, when it's all said and done, a Hall of Fame NFL player. So having the discussion about, hey, should we go get this guy, is one that I think every single NFL franchise is going to have. Now, what the trade cost looks like is up for debate. Garrett's going to be in his age 30 season. That's getting a little bit up there in age. He might not have 2 more contracts left like he did last time. He might have 1 and then, maybe a couple mercenary deals potentially. I think the Khalil Mack trade is a decent estimation, which kind of became 2 ones. It wasn't necessarily 2 first-round picks. There was other pieces involved going to and from, but I do think the overall trade value there is about 2 first-round picks, and maybe change, given how good Mack has been. Contract-wise, there's nothing really preventing you from doing this with an asterisk here. His current cap hit for the Browns is $19 million. The Browns trade him, it balloons to 36, which is a real negative for them because it makes sense to restructure players, push money off in the future, as long as they're on your team. But if the great players want to get out of Dodge, that's not a great spot to be necessarily. The new team would owe $19.8 million and $25 million in 2026, but those are kind of more temporary placeholders because the assumption here is you're going to pay him. He's due for a new contract. He's got 2 years left. Not a ton of guaranteed money left as well. You would probably make him one of, if not the highest, paid non-QB in the NFL. It's a lot of money, but it's a Hall of Fame defensive end. Makes sense. So pinned comment on today's show is this. Would you trade for Myles Garrett? Why for yes and for no? Go sound off for me in the comments of today's with the pinned comment. If the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Look, I think I speak for all 32 teams, including Cleveland, by the way. The idea of a Myles Garrett trade, super fun. You're adding an elite player. Why wouldn't you do that? I think the feasibility of it is another thing. Is this really doable for the Titans? And even if it's technically two different words and things, the practicality, the logic of it for Tennessee is another one. There's a lot you're giving up there when you've got bigger issues in your organization. A to Z Sports had this trade idea. The Titans trade down from number 1 to number 2. They get Myles Garrett and a 6th and a future 4. The Browns move up 1 spot. They get a 2 and a future 1 and a 4th. And okay, that's fine, I suppose. My issue here is I don't think that's enough for Myles Garrett. The biggest asset the Browns are getting here is almost moving from number 1 or moving to number 1 from number 2, which is basically negligible. You're not, for the Browns' perspective, cool, you get whatever player you want at number 1 versus number 2. To get a 2 back and a 1 back, doesn't really move the needle the same way as far as I'm concerned. I don't think that's as valuable. I think for the Titans, it doesn't make any sense at all to give up the number 1 overall pick for Myles Garrett. They've got to get more assets, probably a quarterback, which in that case, why are you trading down from? Because you got to go get a QB to win with Myles Garrett now because you're winning now by trading for Garrett. The Browns, you just want assets. moving up one spot doesn't necessarily move the needle there unless you're then also trading down for number one. Now we're just getting into the galaxy brain trade ideas. So I think specifically for Tennessee, I don't think it makes much sense. Today's show is made possible by Game Time. Game Time's got a new feature. It's called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for events even easier. It filters out the fluff to only show you incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best potential value. It is curation to make it easier to find the best price on great seats. Always keep an eye out for the super deal. It is the best value for any given event. Most bang for your buck. The Game Time guarantee is this. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So go download the Game Time app today, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. But again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. Link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. It's GameTime.co. Promo code ChatSports. Download Game Time today for the last minute tickets. Lowest price guaranteed. Make note. Terms apply. Let's talk Cooper Kupp then. This one may be a bit more appealing given the likely cost involved from a draft pick perspective. Kupp revealed maybe something the Rams didn't want to get out there, but too late. Cat's out of the bag. That the Rams are going to try to trade him. So should Tennessee have interest? I think getting another wide receiver is a must for this organization this offseason. Calvin Ridley, cool. That can be my number one. My next two best guys are Nick Westbrook-Keenan and Tyler Boyd. They are both free agents. Then it's Treylon Burks, who I am, respectfully, I'm out on. I think that is run its course. Doesn't make much more sense to try to continue to push one through outside, like banking on him to play well. I'm going to keep him on the roster, fine, but you can't bank on him being your number two receiver. I think Cooper Kupp, with what Tennessee probably wants to be on offense, is probably a decent fit. The problem here is a couple things. A, the Triple Crown winner, not who he is anymore. He has consistently been banged up, and he is not going to be a near 2,000 receiver. I think if you're lucky, he gets to 1,000 yards. And that might come if he actually plays all 17 games, which he hasn't done a full season in 3 years. Now on the wrong side of 30, that's blinking red lights of like, hey, this is maybe not a good thing. The biggest issue, though, is the money. The Rams want to move on because he has a $30 million almost cap hit, and they can save half of that with a post-June 1st cut, 12.5 with a trade, or 7.5 by cutting him right now. The issue for Tennessee and every other NFL team is they owe $20 million if they were to trade for him this year. That is what they owe. He has a $12.5 million base salary and a $7.5 million roster bonus that has not been paid out yet. It's paid out in March, but has already got $5 million of that guaranteed. So do you really want to go trade that amount of, whatever the draft capital is, let's say it's a 5th round pick or something, which I think is closer, it's a $20 million cap hit. It's a lot of money to pay Cooper Kupp coming off injuries. So would you trade for Cooper Kupp? T for trade, P for pass. Let me know in the comment section of today's show. Now, I am on board trying to add talent to help out my young QB. I get that. I don't have much desire to trade for Cooper Kupp given a $20 million price tag. I think that's far too much for an injured, declining wide receiver, a player that is not the guy he was in his prime. He can still help me, and I think there's a chance he gets cut. I would not rule that out as a possibility because even if it's just $12 million, or someone going to trade for that, the Rams eat the entire roster bonus. Maybe the Rams eat a portion of the contract to net a draft pick back. And if that ends up being the case, they're going to try not to because they want to save more money, obviously, then we can certainly revisit in those options. Because he can still help a young QB, whoever that ends up being for Tennessee. He can still benefit the organization. But right now, in my hunt for a number 2 receiver, I'll explore other options. And if the Rams say, okay, now we're willing to eat money, okay, come back and revisit. Now, we will have you covered all offseason long with a variety of trade rumors and news and updates and drafted and free agency, all kinds of stuff. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. Finally, Chidobe Awuzie. Bleacher Report suggesting the Colts try to trade for Chido with making note that Lou Anarumo, the former Bengals DC that coached Awuzie, is now in Indy. Here's what they wrote. Chidobe Awuzie is now with the Titans, but they already have a lot of money committed to L'Jarius Sneed at corner. They might be willing to part with Awuzie for the right offer, and the 29-year-old had a few good years in Anarumo's system with the Bengals. I'll give them some half credit because I think sometimes the logic is not good from Bleacher Report. This is fine logic, actually. Colts need a corner. Titans have invested. They got good play from Jarvis Brownlee. You look at what the Titans have in the cornerback room. Depth is needed. Behind, Sneed and Awuzie and McCrew with some free agents there. But I think you've got a pretty good top four. You need that top four because I don't trust Chido to stay healthy. He has not played a 16-game season in a long time. When he has played, he has been pretty good. I think the argument of saving money is a little bit weak because you signed Awuzie and traded for Sneed kind of at the same time. You kind of were on board getting both of those guys. But there is potential savings here. Current cap hit for Chido is $14.5 million. Titans save $9.5 if they trade him. And the new team, the Colts in this case, would owe $12 million each of the next 2 seasons. That's actually not that bad in terms of savings or money owed by a new team. So we'll eventually do trade candidates here in depth on the Titans. Because of the money saved, Chido would be on that list.